a mildly interesting situation on the top 35 that are locked in, with one driver in the top 35 out of the series completely. Our 36th place driver in the point standings, which turns out to actually be Gerald, is locked into the main event today. And he's actually fresh off of his victory at Texas last week. So as long as he gets into that top 35 in points, he's going to be locked into the first round of the playoffs, which that's going to be an easy feat to pull off, as he's already basically locked in now in 36th. Everyone goes charging through turn 1, coming out at turn 2 here, and Webb with the Tom Cording blows by Webb to take that lead away. As you can see, the Cording lead is pretty lengthy over the 6 of Webb. Nate Gonzalez running an interesting inside line there, trying to make up some momentum. Townsend up to 3rd, Mike Sky up to 5th. And at the moment, Tashi Gupta holds in your final transfer spot in 7th. Nate Newman wants to make it interesting here, as he's making an aggressive and bold move, but not unless David Bird has something to say about it. David Bird coming in on the inside of Nate Newman. Luxembourg drives it in hard, and man, he almost made contact with David Bird there. And this is our bubble battle. These guys are fighting to try and get their transfer spot that's right there in front of them. Right now, the transfer spot belongs to Nate Gonzalez, as he's dropping backwards. 3 wide for that transfer spot, and Nate Newman might be able to come out on top. From one Nate to the other, now we've got Newman in and Gonzalez out. Luxembourg's going to get by and settle his way up into 8th. And in the meantime, while this is all going on, the 90 of Tom Cording is just driving away with it, followed by Richard Townsend, Webb, and a 3-wide fight for that 4th, 5th, and 6th position. Webb losing a little bit more ground here. Webb is yet to make an official start in the USA Trucks. If he can hold on to 7th here, he would make his first career start. But now it's going to be a little bit harder to do, as he is now the bubble driver. He's going to have to hold off the likes of Lotus King, Luxembourg, and a few others behind. King makes quick work of that. Oh, and Webb on the outside trying to fight back. Not sure it's going to be enough, though. Whoa, there was some contact there for sure. King ran right into the back bumper of Webb, and I think that's going to cost Webb that position for sure. Webb seems out of sorts, as he's trying to find the line on track and constantly going wiggle woggle around the track. quite fascinating. This has got to be one of our first times that we've seen the trucks actually sideways in the dirt. Our previous dirt races, the trucks usually run pretty square around the track, but these guys are actually sticking, kind of drifting it through the corners. Our bubble spot, still a lot of back and forth here, is Luxembourg fighting with King for the position. Nate Newman, amazingly enough, still running pretty solid in his position there in 6th. If we happen to get a caution before the finish of this one, it might... Oh, and look at what I just did. I jinxed it. So we do get a caution here on lap 10, and it looks to involve the 95 of Anheuser-Walkner. Ooh, Chasey plays. Looks like he just lost it going in there. Tried to drive it in a little too hard and lost it. Same thing happened to Anheuser. They just kind of hit a rut there and spun out, bringing our first caution on lap 10. Oh, and another one, the 3 of Kinsella. You gotta imagine that perhaps once the long run establishes itself, that maybe their tires start to give away. The traction is not as good as it once was, and that may have been the explanation for why we saw 3 trucks spin out simultaneously there. Still not a very normal procedure, but not everyone suffered from it either. Yeah, we got 31 trucks here in the sprint qualifier at the Indianapolis Fairgrounds. Our bubble driver at the moment is Lotus King, holding off Luxembourg and Webb. Berggren and Shangle, Gonzalez and Messi, Bird and Ryan. The ones that are really going to have to start pushing the envelope here would be Gannon Bird, Noah Hobson, AJ Kosnoff, Kenyon Hall, Josh Drake, and the rest at the back here. This caution is going to give them an opportunity to pounce. They're still going to need a little bit of luck to go their way. It's impressive the rookie talent that we've seen and how strong they are. The start of the at the start of their season. This is mid-season already, and we've had so many new people join the circuit, and they've already been strong out of the gates. Tom Cording, of course, this is only his 2nd or 3rd race, and out front leading in the sprint qualifier. Richard Townsend has been lights out since joining the series recently. And then you got Richard King here, who's doing solid in his first few starts of the series. as well as Mike Sky Jr., Tashi Gupta, Nate Newman, Lotus King, GP Luxembourg. Basically, our top 8 are all newcomers to the series, as well as Morgan Webb there in 9th. Morgan Webb, of course, yet to make official main event start. Then you got some of the veterans behind them of Taden Berggren and Jacob Shangle, Nate Gonzalez, Santi Messi, and David Bird. We definitely have a stacked field when your rookies are a force to be reckoned with. They're double filed up, and the pace truck is going to pull off here. Going to get a restart with 15 laps to go, so we're halfway through the sprint qualifier. They're going to be able to make it through turn 1 without trashing any more rigs. Making it through turn 1. Man, they fling those cars, or rather trucks, in there so hard. Drift sideways, and then they settle into some fast laps here. Nate Newman doing really good. Ooh, and he's going to lose some ground here as Tashi Gupta and Lotus King are fighting hard on the inside. Taden Berggren currently in our transfer spot. This could be a huge deal for him as he struggled to make so many main events this year. Any main event that he can make is like icing on the cake. Oh, and we got yet another caution. And 95 of Anheuser Wagner. Seems that his day has gone from bad to worse. He just drove it in way too hard there to bring out the caution. And with green-white checkers enabled even in the sprint qualifier here, this could get interesting, trying to figure out who's going to be our last transfers into the main event. The lights are off. They're getting double filed here. And currently our transfers would be Tom Cording, Richard King, Mike Sky Jr., Richard Townsend, Lotus King, Tashi Gupta, and Tayden Berggren. But that's going to go all out the window here as soon as they get back going. There's no telling how this is going to play out. Nate Newman currently in on the position. Oh, Tayden Berggren in on the position now. Lotus King struggling to get grip, it looks like, and it's going to be almost 4 wide, but not quite. It's 3 wide in for the transfer position here. Tayden Berggren dropping backwards like a rock now. Nate Newman, oh, and Tayden really losing traction as he got loose there, fighting an ugly vehicle. Ooh, and he is driving that thing hard on that outside. Look at him carry his momentum. He's driving on that high berm. Nate Newman currently holds the last transfer spot. And we're under caution yet again here at the fairgrounds. Trying to figure out who brought this caution out. Oh yeah, there we go. That's where the caution came out. Chasey plays, losing traction, spinning out into Noah Hobson. I think eventually these guys, enough of them will wreck out and we'll be down to only the best the best rigs left running. But right now it's Tom Cording leading over Mike Sky, Richard King, Richard Townsend, Tashi Gupta, Lotus King, and Nate Newman. On the bubble, Luxembourg, Jacob Schengle, David Bird, Tayden Berggren, Santi Messi, Kenyon Hall, Nate Gonzalez, and Gannon Bird back to your top 15. Unfortunately for Morgan Webb, it seems like starting at the front of the field was about all he had for it today, as he's dropped all the way back to 20th now. And most of you that are watching and always in the sprint qualifier and not getting any airtime for the main events will be glad once the second half of the season starts this summer, and we're going to be doing the East-West series for this USA Trucks. This will allow us to at least spotlight 80 drivers week in, week out. Everyone will get a shot to race for the win. Since we'll do an East and a West, there will be 42 at least on the East and 42 on the West. More so right now, though, we only have 65 drivers, so it'll be about a 30-30 split between the East and the West. But this will allow us to grow even bigger. If we get up to 80, we'll be able to house all 80 drivers and allow for all 80 drivers to be in main event racing. Right now, we only have 42 drivers eligible for a main event every week. It's going to be exciting once we do switch over to the East-West that more people are going to get opportunities to be highlighted in the broadcasts and more opportunities for people to actually take home a victory in the USA Truck Series. Not to mention, we've also got an ARCA series that's going to be starting in June, hopefully. Andrew Moger is going to be taking charge on that. and most of our truck drivers that have failed to run well in the trucks are going to be the first ones eligible to get dropped down to ARCA. And so there is a possibility that this truck series becomes more exclusive than what it's been before. Perhaps we'll have 20 of the best drivers in the East and 20 of the best drivers in the West. And your ARCA drivers are going to have to prove themselves before they can graduate up to the trucks. It's going to start to get... Everything's beginning to get more exciting and more jam-packed for our series here. Likely going to get at least another restart here as long as we don't get another caution. Mike Sky, Tom Cording, Richard King. Wow, look at Richard King driving it in deep. Richard King on the inside of Tom Cording here. And Tom's got just too much horsepower for them to even mess with him. Tom Cording settles back into the lead. Richard Townsend in third. Richard King in fourth. Gupta in fifth. Nate Newman in sixth. And our seventh place driver, likely David Bird for now. Ooh, and Santi Messi just lost it there behind racing for the transfer position. Nonetheless, let's see how many other people he took out in this process here. So many of these drivers are just trying the extra hardest to make it work. Crazy part is it seems to be the best drivers at the front of the field are not making mistakes. It's the drivers that are usually at the back of the field already having a hard time. They're the ones struggling to keep all four tires going forward. And it just goes to show you how important it is for these guys to try and make the main event, that they'll be pushing it that much harder than they normally do. Pushing the envelope on the dirt can be tricky because things are slicker. Usually you're on a grippier paved track, but here today on the dirt, a lot less forgiving when you make a mistake if you hit it just wrong. Now we are on to our first green-white checkered attempt here. We were able to make the first 10 laps of this race without a caution, but since then we have not been able to flag along more than 3 laps consecutively. As long as we take the green, get the white, whatever happens after that will be final. But we've got to be able to string along those consistent laps to get to that white flag. David Bird currently in. Taden Bergeron out. Nate Newman doing good, sitting sixth right there, as well as Richard Townsend, Richard King, Tashi Gupta, Mike Sky Jr., and Tom Cording. If last year was any indicator here in the USA Truck Series, our champion could likely be someone that hasn't ran every race in the series. Guido Piano last year ran all but 4 races to crown himself champion in the series. And newcomers such as Gerald, who's already got a win, as long as he gets into the top 35, he's going to be pretty dangerous in the playoffs. Then you got driver like Chris Harvey, who kind of came out of nowhere, and his first career start was a top 5 finish. Since then, he's strung along a top 10 and another top 5 finish. If he were somehow able to get a win in the next couple races, he could lock his way into the playoffs and also be a pretty severe threat for championship contention. And it's crazy that we're talking about this even because you think about it, we've had a stellar season of star-studded drivers showing up and laying it down. Chadwick continues to be the number 1 power player here in the USA Truck Series. He has led the points the entire way. If you were to take the playoffs out of the picture, Chadwick has led the points probably more than any driver in the US. Actually, hands down, is the driver that has led the most consecutive races. He's been points leader for almost every race, it seems like, is the crazy part. Obviously, there's been times like at the start of this season, Bradley Ream won the race and was the points leader. But Chadwick just knows how to be consistent and may not be the winningest driver, but getting those top 5s and top 10s keeps him as one of the number 1 contenders for the championship every year. They're double filed back up here. We'll have at least one shot hopefully here. Don't want to see too many green-white checkered attempts. Wow, Mike Sky Jr. got one hell of a start there. As they go in 3 wide. Richard King, Richard Townsend, Tashi Gupta, David Bird, and Nate Newman side by side here for the last 2 spots to transfer in. Taden Berggren fighting on that outside. Looks like we're going to stay green. Going to take the white flag as they roll across the front straight here. Tashi Gupta falling backwards now. Transfer spots looking to be up in jeopardy as Nate Newman is falling backwards. Jacob Schengle has worked his way up to 7th. Maybe it's going to be Taden Berggren who's going to drive it in here deep. As you can see, Jacob Schengle and Taden Berggren fighting hard for that last transfer spot. And at the start-finish line, it looks like it's going to be Taden Berggren taking the 7th spot. Yep, Taden Berggren will be your last transfer. Tashi Gupta will be 6th. David Bird 5th. Richard Townsend 4th. Richard King 3rd. Tom Cording led almost every lap in the sprint qualifier and got bested by Mike Sky Jr. on the last restart. That's your top 7. Those are your transfers to the main event today. That's a good thing we don't have to use pit road. I don't expect the main event to actually go down pit road, but that is a potential flaw design in the track. So let's really hope that this race goes without a pit stop the entire way. Alrighty, time for the main event here at the Indiana State Fairgrounds with the USA Truck Series. Starting on the front row, we've got Colton Smith and David Bird. Behind them, we've got Luis Rodriguez and Avery Farrell, Tim Hansen and Tim Cording, Tom Cording and Atlee Weiss, Chaz Chadwick and Chris Harvey, Trevor Walker and Jordan Walker, the brothers Walker starting side by side, Matthew Fastnot and Jeffrey Gerald, Bradley Ream and Ant Meeperson, Gavin Gray and Jack Ross, Mike Sky Jr. and Richard Townsend, Cash and Al Bunch, Richard King and Nathan Morgan, Taden Berggren and Jack Davis, Brian DeBlank and Monty Shangle, Zach Armstrong and Adam Starr, Tashi Gupta and Krista Cower, John Brinker and Chris Hergeson, Paul Ladino and Andrew Moger, Maggie Reams and Philip Leeds, Cannon Gage, who's locked in with filling in the absence of Mike Bliss Jr. Mike Bliss Jr. had gotten this truck up into the top 35 in points. It still sits in the top 35 in points currently, and so Cannon Gage is guaranteed to start as long as this truck maintains that top 35 status. Dave Steele, Leighton Avyard, and Gavin Legend at the back of the field. So 150 laps here at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. 1 mile long track. It's going to be an exciting one. As we already saw in the sprint qualifier, these trucks really do drive them in hard and slide around, drift through the turns. It's kind of a fun track to spectate on.
Dad, you got your radio on over there?
Interesting front row we've got with Colton Smith and David Bird here. Not often front runners, but today starting on the front row. So we'll see if that converts into anything good at the end of the day here. Green flag waves and they're off and rolling. Colton Smith with the early edge of the lead. Wow, and Colton Smith kind of lost traction there. Keeps it going, doesn't collect anyone in a wreck. David Bird on the outside, momentum carrying with him. Oh, and you saw back there the number 2 of Chris Harvey driving in up above the berm. That might be a hard situation for him. Oh, and it looked like he kissed the wall. Chris Harvey really facing his first adversity here in the USA Truck Series, as he's had such a stellar start. He kissed the wall, but it seems that he's going to keep going forward here. Finds an open spot on the inside lane and hopefully can find a little bit more speed to get back up to the front. Looks like a log jam at the front of the field, but current leader, oh, and the 2 is coming down pit road to get some of that damage repaired, it looks like. That's going to be a hard day for Chris Harvey. All in all, though, at the moment, we've got David Bird out front leading, which would be a good story if this could play out this way. He's going to have to hold off a lot of hard-charging drivers behind him, though. The likes of Tom Cording, Chadwick, and why are they slowing down? Do we have a caution? There's got to be a caution. This may have been a lifesaver for Chris Harvey. Tashi Gupta's on pit road, so we'll figure out if maybe it has something to do with Gupta here. So just like that, Chris Harvey's going to maintain lead lap status. So far, the only driver out of the race is Tashi Gupta after a malfunction of AI in NR 2003 happened. But in the meantime, our lead belongs to David Bird over Tom Cording, Tim Hansen, Chadwick, and Tim Cording. David Bird, of course, has been struggling to maintain top 35 in the points, and therefore has been the reason for why he's had to come out of the sprint qualifier so much this year. A good finish here today would help catapult him out of the bottom of the point standings and hopefully into the top 35. Still a lot of racing to go here, but looking good early. Yeah, still only that. So the one retirement, we've got a bunch of trucks at the back of the field with significant damage. As you can see, Leighton Avyard with pretty good damage on that 42 truck. Quite a few drivers were kissing the outside wall, similar to what Chris Harvey had done on the start of the race. The lights should go off. Yep, there we go. Lights off on the pace truck this time by. I'm going to implement green-white checkers. This might be the true adversity for David Bird, starting alongside the very fast Tom Cording. Tom Cording was looking hard to beat in the sprint qualifier alone. It's going to be tough to fathom just how good that truck is here in the main event even. They're double filed up here for the restart. David Bird must be playing some games here with Tom Cording, playing a game of chicken. Side drafting or bumping him. Looks like Tom's going to get, of course, the... Wow, but on the outside, David Bird's keeping it interesting. As you can see, David Bird on the outside with the momentum, carrying it around. Going into the turn, Tom Cording, just an edge. Oh, and Atlee Weiss. And give the lead to Tom Cording. David Bird falls back to third with Chadwick moving up to second. Tim Cording in fourth. And they're 3 wide behind them for fifth. Something that David Bird will be proud about, though, is getting to lead a couple laps at the front of the field. Now under attack by Ant Meperson and Tim Hansen here. We're starting to see the speed differential between the trucks that usually run at the front of the field here compared to the trucks that usually run at the back of the field. Whoa, 3 wide, and we are under caution again. Looks like Brian DeBlank this time is our caution. And I really hope it's not another wonky track design, track boundaries. And it might very well be another track boundaries. Not all tracks are perfect, and obviously this one is going to be on the chopping block for next season already. That seems like it'd be an easy fix to take out those inner fences. I don't even know why the AI drive that far inside, but yet again, it's just like in the sprint qualifier. It seems like your fast drivers, your lead drivers don't take that line. It's your drivers at the back of the field that struggle already that seem to take that line. So it's not a huge detriment to the official turnout of this race, as our top dogs at the front of the field are not making that mistake. The AI at the back of the field just panic. The panic mode sets in and they start doing erratic things at the back of the field. That's really the only plausible explanation I have for it. Makes me at least feel better about the situation at hand. And we'll still see some interesting stuff go down here. I mean, look at Chris Harvey, who was 38th, almost a lap down. He's already climbed through the field up to 28th so far. Bradley Ream in the top 10. Jeffrey Gerald in the top 10. David Bird could be an interesting factor here throughout the race, still in the top 5. He's going to get to duke it out with 3 of the top contenders in the season between Chadwick and the Cording brothers. Lights off on the pace truck again. Hopefully we can get a pretty lengthy green flag run established. Tom Cording with the lead, Chadwick second, Tim Cording third, and David Bird fourth. Ant Meeperson, Tim Hansen, Colton Smith, Jeffrey Gerald, Bradley Ream, and Jordan Walker compile your top 10. Pace truck is off, and we're going to get back going here on lap 15 of 150. Still a long way to go here at the fairgrounds. Could get a vintage brothers battle here today with Tim and Tom. Chadwick going to mix it up at the front with them. Kind of the odd man out between the Cording brothers. Staying green so far. Ant Meeperson sliding in front of David Bird for fourth. Now that we've kind of stabilized and civilized on track here, got some good racing for a lot of varying positions. I would really love it if the AI did not go below the fence line, but seems to be unavoidable here today. Chris Harvey still making up spots, although he's having his hands full with a bunch of drivers hanging around like hornets in a hornet's nest. Seems that he's about to crack the top 20 here shortly. And we'll see at the start-finish line where he is. He's going to stay 21st, it looks like, but very much within range of getting into the top 20 and better. As you can see, bunch of trucks around him. Atlee Weiss in the top 10. Jeffrey Gerald making some moves, getting himself into the top 5. And now we've got Chadwick at the lead, holding the position over Tom Cording and Tim Cording. And so far, this is our longest green flag run that we've had here in the main event. 5 consecutive laps. As Chadwick seemingly stretching out his lead on Tommy. Sadly for David Bird, it seems like the faster trucks are getting around him now as he's going to settle back into 9th. We're going to keep following the progress here of Chris Harvey, who's had a rough start. As mentioned, facing some of his first true adversity in the USA Truck Series. It's going to be fun to watch him come back through the field. That right there is lap traffic of Phillip Leeds, as David Bird is slotted into 10th. Right in front of him, Mike Sky Jr. in 9th. Atlee Weiss in 8th. Matthew Fastnot in 7th. Bradley Ream in 6th. Jeffrey Gerald in 5th. Ant Meeperson in 4th. Tim Cording in 3rd. Tom Cording in 2nd with Chadwick at the lead. Chadwick's lead still continuing to grow at the front of the field here. Chadwick wants to prove the point that he's going to be the one that you have to go through to win the championship this year. Last year was a bad situation that left a bad taste in the way it all played out for Chadwick. Chadwick rolling into the final 3 with what should have been best shot at winning the championship and being at Daytona, or rather Talladega. The championship coming down to a restrictor plate race was never the best scenario for anyone. Chadwick gets wrecked out early in that race and was already out before the race barely even started. This year, however, the championship finale is going to be at Charlotte, a 1.5-mile track, which should lend itself to it'll be a racer's game rather than a game of chance. David Bird still holding in solidly in 10th right now. He's got his work cut out for him if he wants to try and get back to the front of the field. 125 laps to go. The one good thing for Chadwick here is if he gets a win, it's going to be more bonus points in the playoffs. Those bonus points could be the difference between making it from round 13 to the round of 9, or from the round of 9 to the round of 6. Of course, it means nothing once you make it into the round of 3. Your final 3, simply whoever finishes the highest in the championship race will be crowned your champion. We already have seen a perfect scenario here in the USA Trucks where the winner of the final race was the champion. That doesn't happen very often, and that's really what you wish for to happen. Guido Piano winning the last race of the season last year to take home the championship, and it actually tied him as the winningest driver in the Truck Series at that time, alongside Tim Cording, with each driver having 3 wins apiece. Of course, those 3 wins for Guido Piano have since not held the throne, with more of our drivers winning races this year. For example, Chadwick. Well, actually, if I do the math correct here, I don't know if anyone else has gotten 3 wins yet. Chadwick added 1 more win to his tally. Trevor Walker added 2 to his, so I think that puts him at 3. Guido Piano still technically the winningest driver here in the series. However, today it looks like if Chadwick was able to win here, that would be his 4th career win in the USA Trucks. So It's a good thing I noticed that because stats are funny like that. You don't realize it until it's coming at you like a tornado sometimes. It's often very lonely out at the front, and that's probably the best way to have it since you don't have any drama around you. Looks like we do have another caution that just spun. Jack Ross may have been the cause for this caution. Yeah, as you can see, his truck slowed way down. He just overdrove it going into the turn, running in 22nd. Oh, and he got kissed there by the 98 truck, as everyone was a little bit wild going through that turn. And we completed a 17-lap green flag run there without caution. Now that the caution drops on lap 32 here. For sure, the cautions are going to make things interesting, give us opportunity to see who's got the best. Wow. Chris Harvey already worked his way up to 11th. Getting by David Bird to get into 11th there. There's something about this driver. Chris Harvey is on a whole nother level with the rest of the field. And being a rookie like he is, he's got that magic about him that even if you're having a bad day, still find a way to make it work for you. Had some takers on pit road this time. Seems that Tom Cording actually pulled down pit road. So now it is Chadwick, Tim Cording, Ant Me Person, Jeffrey Gerald, and Bradley Ream, your top 5. Atlee Weiss, Mike Sky Jr., Cash, Chris Harvey, and David Bird, your top 10. With this race being 150 laps in distance, I do believe pit stop at least once for everyone will be a factor, which is why we saw the 90 of Tom Cording dip down pit road to get what could likely be his one and only stop out of the way now. He's going to rejoin the field at the very back alongside Matthew Fastnot, who followed him down pit road. If we can get more of those green flag runs in, this race should actually clip by pretty quickly. Based on how these cautions are falling, I don't think that our leaders are going to have an opportunity to catch up to the back of the field. So you're probably not going to see lap traffic come into play unless it goes green from here until the very end, which is highly unlikely. Jeffrey Gerald in the top 10 as he is. This is going to be key for him to get into the top 35 and solidify himself into the top 35. In the meantime, most of our top 5 are all the drivers that are contending for the championship this year. Ant Me Person has had a mild season so far. He hasn't hit victory lane only had 2 top 5s and 5 top 10s within the first 10 races run, so not terrible, but not spectacular either. They're double filed up here for the restart. Tim courting on the outside of Chadwick. Gerald, me person, Weiss, Ream, Cash, Sky, Bird, and Harvey. Tim courting with a solid charge on the outside here. Chadwick, however, is going to blow by on the inside and take the lead back for his own. But now LFG Motorsports is running 1-3 between Chadwick and Gerald. And we're under caution yet again. This time looks to involve the 14 of Adam Starr. And this must have been a wad of cars. As you can see, they're bunched up pretty deep in the back of the field here. Oh, it's the unfortunate glitch system rearing its ugly head again here, as Dave Steele and Adam Starr are out of the race here. And this is just going to give everyone another opportunity for a restart. Chadwick going to come down pit road and get his pit stop out of the way, as well as Atlee, Weiss, and perhaps a few others. So standard NR 2003 shenanigans, it's just going to be one of those nights for us. And these races don't happen every week, obviously, but we'll constantly be on the lookout for better dirt tracks to put on the schedule for the future. Fortunately for Richard Townsend, that's going to be a DNF. As you can see, our DNF list continues to grow here as Dave Steele, Adam Starr, Cannon Gage, Al Bunch, Luis Rodriguez, Brian DeBlanc, Tashi Gupta, Paul Ladino, Taden Berggren, Jack Davis, John Brinker, and Richard Townsend out of the race now. The only perk to this is with less trucks on track, I don't think we're going to see as many wrecks going forward. The AI hopefully will figure out the track boundaries and not go through the wall, since we don't have near as many trucks left running. It's going to get interesting with Chris Harvey back into the top 5 after having a rough start to the race. This has been a true recovery for the number 2 truck. Started at the front of the field, kissed the wall, and then had to come down pit road to get repairs done. Caution was his savior, because otherwise he would have been trapped laps down here at this short track. Lights are off on the pace truck, and they're going to get side by side here. We're going to go back to green on lap 42 of 150, closing in on the third mark of the race, third of the way through. And they are off. Dang near 4 wide for the third position there as Chris Harvey lays off and lets them sort it out. Jeffrey Gerald, Chris Harvey, Zach Armstrong. There's a lot. We stay green, keep it going. Bradley Ream now taking the lead away from Tim Cording. Ant Meeperson on the outside. Mike Sky Jr. on the inside. David Bird went from 17th back to 25th in the matter of one lap. Must have got trapped on the high side without much momentum. Chadwick's trying to make quick work of all the traffic. Up to 12th, about to be in 11th. And just like that, into the top 10 already, charging through the field. Someone's going to have to buy Chris Harvey a steak dinner, as he just seems to be a man on a mission, trying to get as many points as he can to lock himself into the top 35 and then hopefully even find a way into victory lane and earn a championship bid in a season that's so young for him. It's only his 4th career start. In the meantime, Bradley Ream leads over Tim Cording here at the fairgrounds. And we'll have to see if we can get a long green flag run going here, that maybe we'll start seeing some altering strategies kick into play. And that's going to put Chris Harvey up into the top 5 here. Oh, and things just got interesting here as it seems Chadwick falls victim to losing traction, getting slammed into by Avery Farrell. And so this gets to putting things into an interesting perspective. Our points leader with a little bit of trouble here, perhaps maybe even out of the race at the 1/3 mark of the race. Bradley Ream, who's his closest contender for the points lead, is going to be able to capitalize here today and make the most of the opportunity given to him. So Chadwick officially out of the race. This is going to be good news for Bradley Ream, who is going to be able to try and make up max points on the points leader today. Still have at least 95 laps to go here, so Bradley Ream has a lot of work to do. Tim Cording fighting on that high side. Looks like he's going to try to take the lead away from Bradley Ream here. Also, I might add that Bradley Ream has the most perfect paint scheme to be racing on the dirt track with. Having the camo paint scheme on a dirt oval is pretty neat. Tim Cording knows that this is going to be the make or break move for his championship bid. He doesn't want to let it rely on getting in on points when a win is so much easier to lock your way through. And as things stay green here, Tim Cording with the lead, Bradley Ream in second, Ant Meeperson fighting there for second. Chris Harvey seems to be struggling again here as his truck is riding that high line, flirting with the berm as they're driving around him right now. He's trying to figure out what the truck's giving him. Tom Cording with after pitting for fresh tires has worked his way all the way up to 7th. He had pitted along Chadwick during the last round that they pitted. Chadwick unfortunately just drove it in too hot, spun it out, which ultimately put an end to his day, which that's a hard pill to swallow, especially after leading so many laps at the start of this one. And after getting your pit stop out of the way, it was going to be hopefully clean sailing to run the rest of the race, but tis for naught, as Chadwick is now out of the race and giving up very many precious points to his contenders out on track right now. Bradley Ream most likely will have to win the race and get a lot of bonus points to take the points lead away from Chadwick. That 34-point lead should be pretty much safe, short of a victory, led most laps, and any other point award that that Bradley Ream could get. Impressive run for Atlee, getting all the way up into the top 5, as well as Mike Sky Jr. And at the rate things are going here with Jeffrey Gerald, it's basically going to be a safe assumption to put him in the playoff picture. This playoff picture definitely gets very intriguing at this time of the year, as we've got so many faces, so many newcomers usually at this time of the year that have very little to no right to be in a championship contention, but with the way things are laid out, the win and you're in process kind of allows for some surprise drivers to make it into the playoffs. And Jeffrey Gerald would be the example for this season that we've seen so far. Even Chris Harvey could come out and win one of the next two races and make himself an interesting bid for the championship. It seems that Tim Cording's strong suit are these dirt tracks, especially when you note the 2 of his 3 wins came on a dirt track. Out front leading today here, he could make it 3 for 4. Atlee Weiss also has a knack for these dirt tracks, as he'd already won Eldora this season in the trucks. Looks like he's going to slot his way up to 3rd here, and not too far behind from the leaders. I must say, Leighton Avyard in that number 42 truck, it must just be an anomaly that they do not retire. They always go out there and turn as many laps as they can, even when the truck is trashed. Still find a way to stay out there and get as many points as they can each week, which is a factor to why they're still within the top 35 in points. These guys know how to soldier on week in, week out, and also somehow manage to survive and avoid retiring out most times. Does look like we're going to get a decent length green flag run here, that lap traffic could become a factor. Oh, and as soon as I open my mouth, we get a caution. Seems to be a recurring trend here as I give credit to the long green flag run and we get a caution. The other guy that I was bragging up on was the cause of the caution, so So after our leaders pitted, we now have Atlee Weiss at the lead with Tom Cording, Matthew Fastnot, Richard King, and Jack Ross. Tim Cording slotting in to about 8th place after his pit stop there. 9th place Bradley Ream. They don't have very far to go to get back to the front of the field. Doubled up, pace truck's going to pull off, and Atlee Weiss is going to lead them to the restart here. Tom Cording with one hell of a start there gets the lead taken away from Atlee Weiss. They stick it in there pretty hard into the turn. As you can see, Tim Cording on the outside making moves. Looks like he's going to be able to get back into the top 5 pretty quickly here, as he's already in the top 5 on the restart. Tom Cording leads over Atlee Weiss, but Weiss wants to try and make things interesting here, as he's hounding on that back bumper of the 90 truck. Richard King also an anomaly of sorts, as we have so many newcomers running up front, making it interesting for the end of these races. Chris Harvey continuing to set in the top 10 here, running his race and letting the others' races come to them. So it seems at the halfway point, it looks like we've got everyone pitting now. This may be indication that they can make it the rest of the way for sure, all the way to the finish. Tom Cording having some trouble on pit road here. Came onto pit road as the leader. Looks like he's going to leave the pits in last place. Unfortunately, it looks like Tom Cording is going to lose a lap here on pit road. May very well be dealing with a mechanical failure that they're having to work on. In the meantime, Monty Shangle now shuffles around to the lead over Bradley Ream, Mike Sky Jr., Jack Ross, and Tim Cording. Restarts underway, and we're down to only 26 trucks left running here. Bradley Ream takes the lead away from Monty Shangle going into turn 1. And it's 3 by 3 by 3 throughout the pack there as Bradley Ream settles into a single truck lead over the rest of the field, all 3 by 3 behind him. So many drivers in this race are going to be able to survive by attrition and get a great finish here today that might not always have the opportunity to get a good finish otherwise. Chris Harvey's for real, and honestly, he's going to have a shot at winning the race here today, too. The way that his truck's running, he's been able to charge through the field relatively easy, showing the speed and showing the know-how to get around this track here in Indiana. Looks like he's going to get the pass done on Jack Ross here to put himself up to third. Trevor Walker giving him a push from behind, but Trevor Walker wants to take that third spot away. He's going to have to work a little harder as Chris Harvey found the happy spot in the track and wheeled it around the outside of Trevor Walker. Chris Harvey up to third, and we've got a fight for the lead here as Mike Sky Jr. gets on the inside of Bradley Ream. It's Ford versus Dodge, with Dodge not too far behind the two of these guys. Bradley Ream muscles his way around the outside, getting the lead back. But it seems we're going to have a pretty spirited battle for the win here even if only on lap 84. Seems that we've had another spinner, perhaps. Yep, the 8 truck of Nathan Morgan loses it. And just once the battle at the front was getting entertaining, we've got another stoppage in the race here. Bradley Ream pitted from up front at the lead, so now our new leader is Mike Sky Jr. over Chris Harvey. Then you've got Trevor Walker and Tim Cording, Jack Ross, and Atlee Weiss, Richard King and Krista Cower, and Matthew Fastnot and Jeffrey Gerald. This might be a very fascinating restart, as Chris Harvey may very well lead his first laps since struggling at the beginning of this one. From worst on field to first on field, Chris Harvey could have a great day here today at the fairgrounds. This 1 mile track, we're almost 2/3 of the way through the main event here. Looks like we're going to be able to stay green again here for a consecutive run, at least for one lap under green. As you can see, Bradley Ream in 14th. All that we can hope for now is a long green flag run to let this race try to go to its conclusion, hopefully, without any more chaos. Chris Harvey out front leading as he was able to blow by Mike Sky Jr. Trevor Walker looks like he wants to take the lead away. Trevor Walker is going to settle in with the lead over Chris Harvey here on lap 92. Trevor Walker has been dominant on the road courses this year. Hasn't really shown prowess at any other form of track, but good run here today on the dirt could prove otherwise to the contenders, that Trevor Walker may very well be a bit more well-rounded than most anticipated. The one Achilles heel for Trevor Walker is the fact that he's so strong on road courses, but terrible at any other form of track. If you're going to win the championship, it's good to have road course prowess, but you'll have to have speedway strength to get the championship crowned, since the championship goes through Charlotte at the end of the year. Decent green flag run here as we're on lap 94 of 150. 6 laps shy of the 2/3 mark. It seems as if the Chevy streak of no wins in the USA Trucks is going to continue to keep growing itself, as the highest running Chevy at the moment all the way back in 17th. And just a couple more spots, you got David Bird back in 19th. It'll be a huge day the day Chevy can actually pull off a victory. And whoever is able to get that first victory for Chevy, it'll be a tremendous celebration for whichever driver, whichever team is able to get that milestone. And the crazy part is there's higher percentage of Chevy drivers out there than there is Toyota, Dodge, Ford. Yet they just haven't been able to get all the pieces together to find victory lane yet. Out of the 65 drivers, 20 of them are Chevrolet. And with some simple math there, you can tell already that 20 is a pretty high percentage of 65. It's about 1/3 of the field is Chevy, roughly. And yet, like we're saying here, Chevy has not hit victory lane. Looking right here, we got Toyota, Dodge, Ford as your top four. Dodge has truly been forced to be reckoned with in the USA Trucks. They have won a lot of races. And just like that, look at Chris Harvey on the inside of Trevor Walker here. Gives it a little bit extra gas going into the turn. With the nose edging the 21 truck, it looks like Harvey's going to be able to secure the lead back. Going to have to work for it here and try to race clean alongside that 21 truck. And to no worries at all. Chris Harvey fighting back on the outside. Trevor Walker will not give it up without a fight. What this is going to do, the side-by-side racing between these two for the lead, should help Tim Cording close in on the lead. Atlee's going to get on the inside here and try to help draft the 2 truck. And just like that, we've got another caution here. And I'm afraid it's probably just going to be another solo truck spin out. From 5th place, Krista Cower loses it. And Bradley Ream. Oh, Bradley Ream makes contact there. So that's going to be a hard hit for... Oh, Bradley. Dang. That puts an end to Bradley Ream's day as bad went to terrible, went to worse in a matter of just a lap there. Bradley Ream out. Looks to be like he's going to get at least the 24th place out of it here. And we continue to lose more and more trucks in this one. But give the lead to Bradley Ream. Or I mean, my bad. Bradley Ream's out of the race. Chris Harvey is our leader. With 48 laps to go, there's still plenty of racing to be had. But Chris Harvey, for sure, the comeback story here today. After having to come down pit road early to repair damage to the truck. He's putting on a clinic proving that he's got the best truck here today in Indiana. So we're going to be down to 44 laps to go this time by. At this point in the race, we are down to only 22 trucks left running. You gotta imagine once this many trucks have fallen out of the race, we've gotta almost have a long green flag run to the finish, but it seems like we still get so many of these drivers that bring out a caution for a solo spin and whatnot. But here we go. The pace truck off, doubled up, and the restart underway here. Atlee Weiss with the edge at the lead. Actually, Atlee with a pretty solid lead. They bobble going into turn one. Chris Harvey run that inside line, but it's going to be Atlee Weiss who settles into the lead here. Chris Harvey's already proven he can drive around the best of them today. And we're going to have yet again another caution as we got another one pirouetting into the inside wall here on lap 105. Gavin Legend gets stuck on that inside barrier, and that's going to put an end to his day. And another one of those bunch ups that's going to take out quite a few more drivers here on. Looks like Jack Ross is out. Yet again, I apologize that this race has been so chaotic. Another track that we're going to have to figure out a solution for next season, or simply not include this one as part of the racing schedule going forward. But regardless of everything happening behind the leaders, our leaders really have not had a whole lot of trouble, other than, say, Chadwick and Bradley Ream, who had found themselves back further in the pack. And often you get back with the squirrels, you're going to get your nuts crushed. As long as you can stay out front and avoid trouble, most of these drivers at the front of the field have been able to avoid trouble all day. I think that the key story, though, is got to be Chris Harvey here. And I'm probably wearing it out like a repeating record player, but that comeback from him is monumental beyond what most comebacks you see in motorsport. To start at the front of the field, have to pit, repair damage, fall all the way back to 38th, come back to lead the race about 100 laps later. So here's to hoping that the best method plays out here in these closing laps. You really can't go wrong with any of these guys at the front of the field winning today. It'd be a happy win for just about every single one of them. It seems these last 40 laps of the race are going to take forever to conclude. If we keep getting as many cautions as we are, this could be a pretty lengthy 40-lap run. But after this previous caution, it looks like we're going to be down to about 20 trucks left running. 19 trucks running, so the field is shrinking more and more as laps dwindle down and down. They're going to double file up here. Chris Harvey on the outside of Atlee Weiss, Mike Sky, Tim Cording, Trevor Walker, Richard King, Jeffrey Gerald, Monty Shangle, Jordan Walker, and Tim Hansen. The restart. Green flag waves. Chris Harvey off to an early edge there on the outside. Chris Harvey muscling his way around the top side. Looks like he's going to get back to the lead here over Atlee Weiss. Weiss has got something to say about it as he's driving it deep onto that inside line, making a pass on the inside to get back by Chris Harvey here. And Atlee Weiss to the lead. Tim Cording making it interesting, getting on the inside of Chris Harvey there. Chris Harvey gets back in front of Tim Cording, as now it's 3 wide for third with Mike Sky on the outside and Trevor Walker on the inside. Trevor Walker now getting an inside second place Chris Harvey to take second away from Harvey. And now your running order is as follows, with Atlee Weiss leading the way over Trevor Walker, Chris Harvey, Tim Cording, and Mike Sky. Richard King, Jeffrey Gerald, Jordan Walker, Monty Shangle, and Zach Armstrong round out your top 10. David Bird is having a pretty decent run here, surviving the carnage and avoiding the wrecks. Looks like a top 15 or top 20 is in the cards for him here today. And this could very well be our long green flag run that we were desiring for so long at the end of the race here with only 19 trucks left running. This could potentially be a true gauge of who's got the fastest truck in the closing laps here. As Trevor Walker, and I didn't catch this or highlight this when it happened, but Trevor Walker got by Atlee Weiss for the lead. So now Trevor Walker with the lead, setting the pace at the front of the field. Who's got anything for him? Is Atlee going to strike? Is he going to save his stuff and wait till the end? What about Tim Cording in the background there? Chris Harvey even still with a great day that he's had. And regardless of the overall finish position, it looks like Harvey's pretty much in line for another top 5, top 10 finish here today, which is going to make his stocks continue to go up, up, up in the series. There's already been talks that some teams want to sign Chris Harvey to a full-time contract next season. Great talent, great prospect. As you can see, making the most of his situation and opportunity here in the USA Trucks. Looks like we might have a good old-fashioned battle brewing for the lead here between Atlee and Trevor. Atlee makes a move and gets by the 21 of Trevor Walker, slides right in front of him. And now we're going to be down to about 31 laps to go this time by. We continue to stay green in what's likely going to be the longest stint here in today's 150 lap race. Atlee Weiss is actually driving away from the Walkers. And without cautions to truly hinder the race, it seems like this one could pretty much click by in a flash. 30 laps to go is now 29 laps to go this time by. Atlee Weiss is seemingly driving away with the lead now as his lead continues to grow over the 21 of Trevor Walker. The last cup race that we ran was at Memphis, and our winner there was Atlee Weiss. So that could be a interesting continuation for him to have won back-to-back in the 2 series, to win the cup race and then come out and win the truck race in your very next start. That would be a cool one. Still have 26 laps to go, or corrections, 16 laps to go, not 26. A lot less than that. With 16 laps to go, we've already seen our longest green flag run here to get to this point. And Atlee Weiss is proving that he's got the faster truck amongst the top 5 contenders. Trevor Walker looking like he's going to come up short here. Tim Cording is continuing to do what Tim Cording needs to do. Keep getting good, solid finishes. As long as there's no new winners, he's going to be able to lock himself in on points into the round of 13. What else can you say about Chris Harvey that hasn't already been said? This guy shows up on the circuit and looking at possibly getting his 3rd top 5 in only 4 starts. And really 4 top 10s in his first 4 starts. Mike Sky is going to get a good top 5 if it keeps going the way it's going right now. Jeffrey Gerald will be safely into the top 35 in points and won't have to worry about making it through sprint qualifiers at all. And also with his 1 win should be safe lock into the first round of the playoffs, which will be fascinating to have 2 LFG Motorsports trucks for the first time and both of them making it into the playoffs. We're definitely getting down to the nitty-gritty of this one. Although there's not a whole lot of drama to be had, it seems, as Atlee Weiss is out there cruising as if it were a Sunday cruise through the town. But do remember, if we do get a caution somewhere soon, there will be a green-white checkers. And there's no telling if we had a green-white checker scenario, who would come out on top then. Seems like the restarts are always very volatile. Even though we had a lot of back and forth at the front of the field, it seems like we found our top dog in Atlee tonight, who is just out there putting on a show for these guys, dominating the rest of the field. Down to 10 laps to go now. Still the lead belongs to Atlee, but this battle for second is heating up as Trevor Walker has fallen into the grasps of Tim Cording and Chris Harvey. Tim Cording would love to get an extra spot here to try and help add to his points tally. Atlee's out there to a lead of 6 seconds over second place right now. As you can see, Tim Cording looks like he's successfully trying to manipulate Sorry, I was dozing off there and speaking nonsense. We still only have about 8 laps to go here, and it doesn't seem like anyone's got anything for Atlee Weiss out front dominating the field. 7 laps to go this time by. And this has been our longest green flag run at the end of the race here, roughly about 40 laps in length, I would say, on this green flag run. Nathan Morgan here, lap traffic running in 17th. Colton Smith running 15th. Ant Me Person actually 15th as he was 16th, now up to 15th. David Bird running 14th. Zach Armstrong 13th. Maggie Reams in 12th. Tim Hansen in 11th. Monty Shangle in 10th. Jordan Walker in 9th. Cash in 8th. Richard King up to 7th. Jeffrey Gerald in 6th. Mike Sky Jr. in 5th. And then the 4th place of Chris Harvey. 3rd place of Tim Cording. 2nd place of Trevor Walker. To the leader, none other than Atlee Weiss. Atlee's so far out there, I don't even think there's any competition. This could be Atlee's 2nd win in the USA Trucks for this season, and also one of his first times going from Cup to Trucks and winning in both of them. That's going to be a fascinating statistic to follow, as we've seen likes of Jordan Walker, Trevor Walker that race in trucks and bush that can somehow get a win in both of the series that they are contesting. Atlee Weiss, really pretty talented driver out there, able to win in the Cup race and then come out here this week and win on the dirt in a truck. Down to 2 laps to go now. Seems like the race is going to stay green for the entirety, the final duration of this race. And this time by, Atlee Weiss will receive the white flag. White flag waving for Atlee Weiss, leading over the rest of the field. On the final lap here, 6.7 second lead for Atlee, now growing to a 7.13. As you can see, Atlee with very little resistance at the front of the field. He's going to cruise around here coming out of turn 4. This is the second win on the season for Atlee Weiss. Coming in strong when it matters the most to try and get as many points secured into the playoffs. That second win is going to be huge for him. Trevor Walker, Tim Cording, Chris Harvey, Mike Sky Jr., Jeffrey Gerald, Richard King, Cash, Jordan Walker, and Monty Shangle round out your top 10. But ultimately, congratulations to the 19 of Atlee Weiss for taking home the victory here today. For whatever reason, the game likes to crash them onto pit road after they win. Decent showing for David Bird coming home in 14th. As you can see, every single truck basically wrecked out at the... Yeah, that's nothing. That's just NR 2003 shenanigans yet again. One thing it can't take away is Atlee Weiss's victory here today. And a lot is on the line in these next couple races, as drivers are going to have only 2 more opportunities to get into victory lane before the playoffs start. This was a good appetizer for what we're going to see the next 2 weeks, especially on the cutoff race going into the playoffs. We're going to get a playoff chart plotted out so that we can get an idea for who's in and who's out, and get hyped up for the championship stretch of the season coming up here. So in our winter stretch of the USA Truck Series, so that once that concludes, we're going to roll into our summer segment of the series. So yet again, I apologize that the track had its flaws. It's NR 2003 at its craziest at times, you know. At least we were able to get this race within under 2 hours for the main event. Congratulations again to Atlee Weiss on taking home the victory and getting his second win on 2023. That's going to help Tim Cording as less drivers are winning their way in. Tim Cording is definitely going to be able to point his way in to the playoffs. So thanks again, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the race, and we'll catch you on the next one.